To my dear granddaughter Laura, I leave our house by the lake and $200,000. That gift from my grandparents changed everything. It opened a new chapter in my life, but it also made me finally see the truth, that my idea of a loving family was just an illusion. My name is Laura Bailey. Since I was a child, I was always compared to my older sister. She did well in school, played sports, and made our parents proud. I was clumsy and always seemed to be in her shadow. At home, whatever my sister wanted always came first. My thoughts and opinions didn't matter. Whether it was about what we had for dinner, where we went on the weekend, or even what we talked about, everything revolved around her. After a while, I started to think, maybe it doesn't matter if I'm here or not. The only place that ever felt safe and warm was my grandparents' house. No matter what I said, they always listened closely. Whether I shared something small from school or talked about how hard gym class was, they made me feel like every word was important. My grandmother would make tea with a kind smile, and my grandfather would proudly frame my messy drawings and hang them on the wall, saying, "It's wonderful." Their home was like a different world. The garden had flowers blooming in every season, and the living room was always full of soft, warm sunlight. No one compared me to anyone there. I didn't have to act a certain way or hide who I was. It was the only place where I could truly relax and feel loved just for being me. When bad things happened at school, I would rush to my grandparents' house. It was the only place where time felt calm and quiet, and where I felt like I belonged. When I opened the front door, the sweet smell of my grandma's freshly baked cookies always welcomed me. My grandpa would put down his newspaper, open his arms wide, and say, "Welcome." I can't explain how much those simple words meant to me. As I got older, I visited them less often, but the warmth and love I felt in their home always stayed with me. My parents never stopped comparing me to my sister, but my grandparents always made me feel like I was enough just as I was. That feeling quietly gave me strength. When I told my parents I wanted to go to university, they immediately said no. "We need the money for Emma's wedding," they told me. Just like that, my dream of going to university was pushed aside. All their attention went to planning a big, fancy wedding. The wedding was held at a top hotel, with expensive food and desserts. Emma's dress was custom-made, and everything looked like a scene from a movie. Meanwhile, my hopes for school were ignored. But I didn't give up. I took out student loans and started studying on my own. My parents didn't help me with money, but I told myself it was okay. I knew the wedding was a special day for my sister. My grandparents came to the wedding too. They had always cared about me, and I think they noticed the quiet tension that day. My grandmother walked over to my table and gently asked, "How's university going, Laura?" Her voice was full of love and care. I was a bit surprised, but I smiled and answered, "I'm studying hard. I want to work for a big marketing company one day." She smiled back at me, though I could see something deeper in her eyes. "That's wonderful. I'm really proud of how hard you're working," she said. Her kindness touched me deeply, and in that moment, some of the anger I felt toward my parents faded just a little. My grandfather had been listening too. He added warmly, "If you're ever struggling, don't be afraid to ask us for help. We'll always be here for you.
Just focus on being happy.
We'll help you reach your goals." Those words comforted me more than I can say. Even though the wedding was big and fancy, it was my grandparents' simple, loving words that stayed in my heart. I made a strong promise to myself. Even though my sister had always been the favorite, I decided I would create my own path. It didn't matter how hard it was or how little support I got from others. I promised to believe in myself and keep going. My grandparents' words gave me the strength I needed. No matter what path I took or how long it took, I was determined to chase my dreams. Everything changed the summer before my second year of college. "Laura," my grandma's voice came softly through the phone. "Frank, your grandpa had a heart attack in his study. The doctors couldn't save him." Her voice broke into quiet sobs. I don't even remember the drive to the hospital. All I remember is the heavy sadness that hit me when I walked into the room and saw that he was already gone. Grandma was sitting beside him, holding his hand tightly. I gently placed my hand on her shoulder and leaned against her. Her small body shook, and I could feel how deep her sadness was. We sat in silence, just holding on to each other. To Grandma, Grandpa wasn't just a husband. He was her closest friend.
They had lived their whole life side by side.
Losing him left a huge empty space in her heart. When I looked at her, I could see all the love they had shared over the years and the deep pain of knowing he was gone. I held her hand tightly and silently promised to be there for her, no matter what. But just 1 month after Grandpa passed, Grandma passed away too. It was so sudden, it felt unreal, like she followed him to heaven. I couldn't accept it. They meant everything to me. They were the only ones who always supported me, who believed in me. I could still hear Grandma's kind words and Grandpa's strong encouragement in my mind. Knowing I would never hear their voices again broke my heart. I felt completely lost and empty. A week after we buried Grandma Heather next to Grandpa Frank, we gathered in the lawyer's office. Mr. Nathan, their lawyer for many years, adjusted his glasses and opened a large folder. He began to read from their will. To our beloved granddaughter Laura, Mr. Nathan said clearly, we leave our lake house at 5,721 the village at Horsepen and savings totaling $200,000. I heard Emma gasp and saw her shiny lips open in shock. My mom grabbed my dad's arms so tightly that her knuckles turned white. Mr. Nathan straightened his tie and kept reading. He said, there's also a personal message from Frank Caprio to his daughter, Olivia. He looked straight at my mom and read, Olivia, we are not leaving anything to you or Emma. This is our final decision. When you said you were having money problems and planning Emma's wedding, we gave you $250,000. We respected your needs back then. Now, we ask that you respect our choice. My mom jumped to her feet, her face red with anger. This is unacceptable, she yelled, slamming her hand on the table. We're family. It's wrong to give everything to Laura. There must be some mistake. I object. This should be reviewed again. Mr. Nathan calmly took off his glasses and sighed. Mrs. Olivia, this is a legal will. We must follow the wishes of the people who passed away. My mom kept trying to argue, but I stayed quiet. Inside, I felt so many emotions all at once, but I didn't say a word. My grandparents' wishes meant more to me than anything. When Mr. Nathan finished and packed up his papers, my parents left angrily. But when I walked outside to the parking lot, they were waiting for me. Sweet Laura, my mom said in a fake sweet voice I had never heard before. I stopped, too tired to hide how I felt. She looked at me with a soft smile and said, this isn't the best place to talk. Can we go somewhere private? My dad and Emma stood quietly behind her. After a short pause, I nodded. We went into a nearby cafe. As soon as we sat down, my mom got straight to the point. Laura, the lake house you inherited, it means a lot to all of us, doesn't it? She said with a gentle smile, but her eyes looked sharp and calculating. She took a small sip of coffee and added, if you're open to selling the house, I know a great real estate agent. You could get a really good price for it, and you'd have a lot of money in hand. It's a smart choice, don't you think? I didn't answer. I just stayed silent. I had no plans to sell the house, but I stayed quiet. I wanted to see what they would say next. Right away, Dad spoke up. Laura, owning a house costs a lot. Taxes, repairs. It's a big responsibility, especially for someone young like you. Emma quickly added, you're not actually going to live out there, are you? It would make more sense to sell it and use the money for something better. Her voice was soft, but I could tell she was trying to rush me into agreeing. They were all trying to sound calm and kind, but I could see what they were really doing. They weren't happy that my grandparents had left everything to me, and now they were trying to talk me into selling the house so they could get something out of it. Mom reached across the table, lightly touching my hand. Laura, we're family. Let's help each other, she whispered sweetly. I pulled my hand back. A cold, firm feeling began to grow inside me. That house wasn't just property. It was the place where I had first felt true love. It held memories that money could never replace. I took a deep breath and calmly said, I'm sorry. I'm not selling the house. Mom's face froze. Dad and Emma looked stunned. I stood up, pushing my chair back. I want to honor what Grandpa and Grandma left me, Along with that house, I said. And with that, I walked out of the cafe. A warm feeling spread in my chest. For the first time, I had stood up to my family and made a choice on my own. I felt proud. After that, I graduated from university and got a job at the marketing company I had dreamed of. At first, the work felt strange and new, but with help from kind coworkers, I slowly gained confidence. I felt so happy every time one of my ideas became real. I was busy, but satisfied with my life. I also moved into my own apartment. It was small, but I had picked it and decorated it myself. It gave me a special kind of peace. After work, I'd play music I liked and make myself a cup of coffee. That became my favorite way to relax. Since that day at the cafe, I've barely spoken to my parents or sister. At first, we exchanged a few awkward messages, but over time, I stopped reaching out. Months passed without a single word. Sometimes I did feel a little lonely, but more than that, I felt strong. I was finally living my life the way I wanted. I was free to choose, to grow, and to live without anyone controlling me. That quiet, peaceful life helped heal my heart. One day, I got a call from my mother. "Laura, would you join us for dinner this Sunday?" she asked. Something in her voice felt different. My gut told me it might be a setup, but my curiosity got the better of me. Driving into the driveway of my childhood home felt like stepping back in time. The house had changed a lot, and not in a good way. The once beautiful colonial house now looked old and forgotten. The paint was peeling, the gutters were hanging loose, and the neat lawn my father once took pride in was now full of weeds and dry patches. Inside, the house felt small, but it was surprisingly clean. Emma's 5-year-old twins, Jacob and Ryan, were running wild through the living room. "Laura." My mother hugged me tightly, her excitement catching me off guard. "We made your favorite pot roast with those little red potatoes you love." I froze in her arms. It hit me all at once. "That's not my favorite," I said before I could stop myself. "That's Emma's. I've always liked grilled salmon." A heavy silence filled the room. My father broke it by clearing his throat. "What is your favorite food?" he asked, looking genuinely curious. We should know these things. To my surprise, they really seemed to want to know. During dinner, they asked lots of questions about my job on Old Manchester St, my apartment in Richmond, even what I did on weekends. They even listened when I explained what derivatives trading was, though I could tell they didn't fully understand it. As dessert was served, my father spoke again. "We're expecting a lot of relatives for Thanksgiving this year. We'd like to have it in a bigger house. I've been looking for a place to rent, but no luck so far." I stayed quiet, thinking about the villa I had inherited from my grandparents. It was big, peaceful, surrounded by nature, perfect for a family gathering. A part of me thought maybe this was a chance to visit that house again, to feel close to my grandparents. Then my mom looked at me, her voice soft. "Would you be willing to let us use the villa?" I hesitated. That place meant a lot to me. It held so many special memories. I wasn't sure if it was right to let them use it so easily. Sensing my hesitation, Emma quickly jumped in. "I'd love to take the kids to the villa," she said cheerfully. "It would be so great for them to play in the fresh air." She smiled brightly, looking hopeful. I felt a mix of emotions. The villa was filled with memories of love, peace, and my grandparents. I wasn't sure if I wanted Emma and her kids treating it like just any other place. But then I thought about what my grandparents would have done. I was sure they would have smiled and watched the children running around with joy. Holding that thought in my heart, I slowly nodded and said, "Sure, let's all have a nice time together." And just like that, it was decided we would have the Thanksgiving party at my villa. On Thanksgiving Day, I drove to the vacation home my grandparents had left me. I felt a little nervous but also excited. I had made sure to arrive early at the time my parents told me. I was looking forward to seeing my relatives after so long. But more than that, I was happy everyone would be gathering at the cottage filled with my childhood memories. The place reminded me of my grandparents, their love, kindness, and warmth. I imagined them watching over us, smiling as we laughed and spent time together. That thought made me smile as I drove. I could already picture the children running around in the yard and everyone enjoying dinner together. It made my heart feel full. Not long ago, I wasn't sure if I wanted to share this home with my family. But now, I felt at peace. Letting them enjoy the cottage felt like the best way to honor my grandparents. I truly believed that. However, something felt strange the moment I opened the front door. The house was quiet. I looked around and saw dirty plates and cups stacked up, stains on the tablecloth, and signs that the party had already happened, without me. It was clear everyone had already left. Confused and hurt, I walked deeper into the house. From the back room, I heard laughter. I peeked in and saw my parents sitting comfortably on the sofa, talking and relaxing. Then I heard my mom laugh and say, "Good thing she owns a big house. We'll let her clean it up." My dad chuckled and agreed. I stood there, frozen. A cold feeling crept over me. I had shared this special place because I wanted to help my family, but now I felt like nothing more than the person who owned the house. A deep, painful loneliness filled my chest, and with it came quiet anger. At that moment, I made a decision. I thought about confronting my parents right then and there, but I already felt ignored. It didn't seem like they would care. So instead, I picked up my phone and called the police. Not because I thought it would fix everything right away, but because I needed someone to know what had happened. But I knew I had to do something to stand up for myself. When the police arrived, an argument quickly started between me and my parents. "Why did you call the police?" my dad asked angrily as he walked toward me. "This house belongs to me. I inherited it. You had no right to be here without my permission," I said firmly. "Trespassing? We're family," my mom replied loudly. "You told us we could use the house." "I didn't give you permission to treat me like this," I snapped. "I'm tired of you only acting like family when it's convenient. This house is very special to me." Tears filled my eyes as I shouted. Then one of the officers stepped in between us and said, "Please calm down. This is a family issue, so we can't treat it as a criminal case." I bit my lip. It felt like no one really cared about how hurt or angry I was. Even after the police left, my parents didn't apologize. "You're making a big deal over nothing," my mother said, rolling her eyes. That's when I made up my mind.
"Fine. I'll take you to court," I said.
"We'll settle this properly." My parents looked shocked, but I didn't back down. I couldn't let them keep walking all over something that meant so much to me. So I took legal action and filed a civil lawsuit. I reached out to Mr. Nathan, the lawyer who had helped my grandparents for many years. He had always been reliable, and I knew I could trust him. He listened carefully and then said, "Even though they are your parents, your legal rights must be protected." His words gave me a huge sense of relief. Getting ready for the case was hard. I had to collect a lot of documents, proof of ownership, records of conversations with my parents, and details about how they used the house. It was a lot of work, but I didn't give up. This wasn't just about the house, it was about protecting my dignity. On the day of the trial, I stood in court and told my story clearly and calmly. I didn't let my emotions take over. I just shared the facts. My parents looked nervous but still tried to defend themselves, saying they hadn't done anything wrong. A few weeks later, the court gave its decision. The court recognizes the plaintiff's claims. The judge said, the defendants must stop using the property and pay damages. I quietly closed my eyes and took a deep breath. Finally, my voice had been heard and respected. After the court ruling, my parents and Emma started texting and calling me often. At first, they sent short messages saying, "Sorry." Then the messages turned into requests. "Please, just meet with us once." I didn't reply to any of their messages or calls. Still, they didn't stop trying. One day, after I came home from work, I saw my mother standing in front of my apartment door. She looked tired and was holding a small paper bag. "Welcome home," she said, sounding unsure. I kept my hand on the door handle and looked at her without saying anything. "Please, just listen for a moment," she said, almost begging. I let out a sigh and stayed at the door, agreeing to hear her out. "We're truly sorry for everything. The way we hurt you, and the whole thing with the villa. Please forgive us. We're still family, aren't we?" I shook my head slowly. I can't forgive you. Ever since I was a child, I've always been the one who was hurt in this family. You only treat me like family when it's convenient for you. Tears filled her eyes, but I didn't change my expression. Then she said in a soft voice, "Your father's company went bankrupt. He's drowning in debt. Can you help us?" I took a deep breath and spoke clearly.
No.
I don't see you as my family anymore. My mother stared at me, shocked. Then she lowered her head and walked away without another word. I went inside and immediately called Mr. Nathan. "So she came to see you in person, huh?" he said calmly. "Then it's time to apply for a restraining order. You need to protect your peace and safety." I nodded. "Yes, please." So I decided to turn to the law again to protect my life. Even though they were my blood relatives, I had no choice but to stay away from the people who hurt me. After the restraining order was approved, my parents received the official court notice in the mail. They were shocked and upset. They told other family members and friends, complaining about me and what I had done. But for me, nothing had changed. I still believed I made the right choice. Later, I heard from relatives that things kept getting worse for my parents and Emma. After his company failed, my father couldn't find another job. He was always stressed about paying back debts. Because of his proud and rude behavior, he lost many of his friends too. My mother, worried about his situation, became mentally tired and unhappy. Their home life fell apart more and more each day. Emma, busy raising her twins, was also struggling. Her relationship with her husband became tense, and she was worn out from taking care of the kids. Money was tight, and she worked hard just to cover their school costs and daily needs. My sister used to depend a lot on our parents. Now that they couldn't support her anymore, her life became even harder. I heard she tried to contact me too, but since I kept my distance, her stress only grew, and our family bond became weaker. My parents and sister were now facing the results of their past actions. Even though they felt sorry, they couldn't fix what had happened, and their lives kept getting worse. The feeling of being a family slowly faded. Each of them felt alone, struggling with worry, regret, and sadness. They were just trying to get through each day. After completely cutting ties with my parents and sister, I put all my focus on work. Every time I completed a project, I felt myself growing stronger and more confident. After work, I liked to sit in a quiet cafe. It helped me relax and clear my mind. I also started meeting new people and making friends, which gave me the emotional support I needed. On weekends, I would visit the villa my grandparents left me. It was in a peaceful mountain area. That house was full of warm memories, and it was the place where my grandparents had loved me deeply. Thinking about their smiles and kindness made me feel surrounded by their love. In those quiet moments, I could feel my old pains slowly healing. Sometimes I thought about the past, but instead of feeling sad, I forgave myself and felt stronger each time. I was no longer tied to my past or the family that had hurt me. I had made a choice to move forward and live my own life. Then one day, I realized something important. What I truly wanted to protect wasn't my family or old memories. It was my own happiness and the future I was going to create.